Elon Musk, and I'm going to talk about government too. So it's not just about space. I don't think this is in the circles that I kind of chat with about politics and social issues. I don't know if this is talked about enough. And what I'm talking about is Elon Musk's positioning on government, the role of government. He is actually a billionaire who is often forced to challenge the status quo. He has to he has to challenge the government. I said we are the aliens, and I say that somewhat seriously because when you look at what's happening with all the space advancements with SpaceX, just amazing stuff going on. Let's look at how they stack the rockets. This is SpaceX here, time lapse. Or so they're using these robotic arms to stack the rocket. Like we might be the aliens. We might be the ones that land on a planet with people in their primitive form. And they look at our spaceship like, whoa, that's crazy. And a lot of it's going to be due to Elon Musk. It's going to be due to SpaceX. And I don't want to give too much credit to Elon Musk. I want to give him credit, but his team of engineers, this stuff happened and people think it's CGI. He's landing ships to reuse them. Elon Musk said, here's the problem with space, with the space advancement. The rockets are one-time use. Imagine if every time you had to drive your car, this is Elon Musk brings it up, it's a great analogy. Imagine every time you had to drive your car, you could only use it once, and then you'd have to dispose of it. How much do you think it would cost to get around? Nobody would have a car. I need to go to the store real quick. You wouldn't be able to use it because it's a one-time use. You would only use it for like a very big cross-country trip or something like that. So he said, we got to make these reusable. So he had to be able to land them. It doesn't even look real. Elon Musk recently spoke and he was talking about all this stuff. And Elon Musk and his teams, they inspire me. When you look at what it takes to engineer and the teamwork that it takes to get to the point to do what he's doing with his company while he's running Tesla and Neuralink and the Boring Company and Starlink. We've never seen anything like that. If aliens were to come to our planet right now and were to ask, hey, who's the dude? Who's the one dude that we should be talking to? There's no question it would be Elon Musk. It wouldn't be we wouldn't be taking the aliens to Joe Biden, I'll tell you that much. We wouldn't say, hey, here's Joe Biden. Here's the guy you got to talk to. Let's look at this stuff, how awe-inspiring this is. We are the aliens. This is the alien technology he's going to put into the Cybertruck and the Teslas. This is something that really the whole world, but definitely our country, can rally around. This is America. These are American companies that are breaking the boundaries of space, landing rockets. To my knowledge, he's the only one that can do this. I don't think China can do this unless there's some secret stuff that they got that we don't know about. Let's talk about why. You might be watching the channel and you say, well, gosh, why? Who cares? Who cares about going to space? Who cares about technology advancing to this point? And I would challenge that. I would say, well, hey, there's practical reasons for this.
Why are we doing this? I mean, pretty epic. But what's the sort of deep meaning behind this? Like, why build a giant reusable rocket? Why make life multiplanetary? And I think this is just an incredibly important thing for the future of life itself. Um, and there's both I call it the sort of the defensive reason or the life insurance reason. That's one part of it, which is that there's always some chance that something could go wrong on Earth. The dinosaurs are not around anymore. So, there could be some calamity where we do ourselves in, or there's a natural disaster. Now, I'm naturally an optimist, so I think the probability of that is low, but it is not zero. And eventually, the sun will expand. It might take a few 100 million years, so don't hold your breath. But eventually, the sun will expand and destroy all life. So for those who really care about not just the humans, but all the life on Earth, it is very important, essential, that over the long term, that we become a multi-planet species and ultimately even go beyond the solar system and bring life with us. And we are life's stewards, life's guardians. The creatures that we love they can't build spaceships, but we can, and we can bring them with us.
Yeah, there's some Noah's Ark type stuff. There's multiple reasons, and I think there's misnomers. Elon talked about this. We're not spending. When you look at all the money that's being spent in the world, the percentage that's being used on advancement to space is very small. It's not like this is, oh, we're going to try and advance to space, to the moon, to Mars. And you know what's awkward about that? We could have used that money to solve homelessness. Like even that's just not that's just not a good way to look at it. The money that's being used is not a lot, and homelessness is a different issue. There's a lot of issues we need to tackle at the same time.
There's also an inspiring reason, which is that life can't just be about solving problems. There have to be things that inspire you, that move your heart, that make you glad to be, when you wake up in the morning, you're excited about the future. And going out there and being a multi-planet species and being a spacefaring civilization and making science fiction, not fiction forever, I think that's one of those things. I think that's what fires me up the most, is like, let's go out there and find out what this universe is all about. Are there other species out there? Maybe. Hopefully it's. I mean, we want to go find out what the heck's going on. What is going on? I mean, how do we get here? What's the meaning of life? 42. But what's the question? If we go out there and we explore the galaxy, ultimately, then we can find out some of these questions, and it will just be very exciting to do that, and something we can all look forward to. And even whether somebody chooses to go or not, I think vicariously we can all go there. Just like with Apollo, where only a handful of people went to the moon, but in a sense we all went there. Humanity went there, and so even if somebody doesn't choose to go themselves, I think vicariously through others they will go. They will understand.
Yes, wouldn't it be nice? The Olympics don't do it anymore. Wouldn't it be nice to have something unifying that has nothing to do with politics? Like, wouldn't that be a breath of fresh air? That's what he's talking about here. Like he's not saying this is the only thing. He's just saying, like, let's televise it, put it on TV. Netflix aired the inspiration details and launch. Let's have something to rally around. What is that thing? The only thing people rally around now is probably hating somebody like Chrissy Teigen or somebody like that's not healthy.
understand, they will experience the universe. And I think that's incredibly fundamental to an exciting future. And that's why we're doing this. So
Clap for him. Who's in the crowd there? Let's go. That was weak. What is this?
so
And then there's this.
I mean, to be frank, civilization is feeling a little fragile these days.
That was an
I mean, to be frank,
that was an exasperating moment, a moment of honesty during the speech. Look at his face. Listen to his voice. He's like, man. In Canada, they had to roll up with 50,000 trucks to just get the government to take their boot off their neck, and they still have the boot on the neck.
I mean, to be frank, civilization is feeling a little fragile these days.
Who else is feeling like this?
I mean, to be frank, civilization is feeling a little fragile these days.
He's the richest man in the world. Keep that in mind.
I mean, to be frank, civilization is feeling a little fragile these days.
He just had to, he let it out.
To be frank, civilization is feeling a little fragile these days.
To be frank, he was like, whew. He was like, things are really effed up right now in the world, is basically what he was saying. Let's take it. I'm going to end with this. I'm going to take it to the government. Well, I'm going to take it to the government. Then I'm going to end with a picture of, how it would look like to get to Mars. I want to end on a good note on a Friday. Thank you, everybody, for stopping by. If you're listening on the recording, I don't know if this is going on Twitter. I tried to link it to Twitter and Rumble. This might be live on Rumble as well. I can't see comments over there or anything. I'm a noob at this, and it's just me. So bear with me. I appreciate you giving it a chance. I want to end. This is the part that a lot of people don't link. All right, we had to link this. Elon Musk is more about space and imagining that. He's about imagining government and the role of government. He's basically saying our government could be better. Listen to what he's saying there. And he has great ideas about it. And he said, ultimately, it's going to be up to the people of Mars. But listen to this. Tell me if you like this 60-40 rule that he proposed. This is on with the great Lex Friedman.
So, yeah, something needs to happen, or just the civilization's arteries just harden over time. And you can just get less and less done because there's just a rule against everything. So I think, like, I don't know, for Mars or whatever, I'd say, or even for, obviously for Earth as well, like, I think there should be an active process for removing rules and regulations and questioning their existence. Just, like, if we've got a function for creating rules and regulations, because rules and regulations you can also think of as like, they're like software or lines of code for operating civilization. That's rules and regulations. So it's not like we shouldn't have rules and regulations, but you have code accumulation, but no code removal. And so it just gets to become basically archaic bloatware after a while. And it's just, it makes it hard for things to progress. So I don't know, maybe Mars, you'd have like any given law must have a sunset, and require active voting to keep it up there, and I actually also say, like, and these are just, I don't know, recommendations or thoughts, and ultimately it will be up to the people on Mars to decide. But I think it should be easier to remove a law than to add one because of just to overcome the inertia of laws. So maybe it's like, for argument's sake, you need, like, say 60% vote to have a law take effect, but only a 40% vote to remove it.
He thinks outside the box. There's this book my son has. It's called Good Night Lab, I think it is. It's like a science book. And in it, they quote Albert Einstein. And he has a quote that's something like, imagination is more important than knowledge. And that's Elon Musk is the unique individual that has an amazing combination of both. What he's talking about there is the same thing that I just talked about in my video when I said the United States has been around for, what, 245-ish years? We need an enema. We need to clean ourselves out. Too many laws, too much power. It needs to, that's what's happening with these, this pushback, these protests, J6, all this kind of stuff. It's too much. You've got too much power. You're breaking the Constitution now. It's time to reel it back. And he's just imagining if we go to Mars, we could say, hey, every law has a sunset, meaning you make a law right now, it expires in 5 years. Or if expires in 5 years. And if you don't get the vote to keep it up, then it automatically goes away. And if 40% of people don't want the law is gone. If 60% of people want it, then it's good. To avoid what he'd referred to as the inertia of just, when you look at it, too many laws.
There is like, I think a fundamental problem that because we've not really had a major, like a world war or something like that in a while, and obviously we'd like to not have world wars. There's not been a cleansing function for rules and regulations. So wars did have, some silver lining in that there would be a reset on rules and regulations after a war. So World Wars I and II, there were huge resets on rules and regulations. Now, if the society does not have a war and there's no cleansing function or garbage collection for rules and regulations, then rules and regulations will accumulate every year because they're immortal. There's no actual humans die, but the laws don't. So we need a garbage collection function for rules and regulations. They should not just be immortal, because some of the rules and regulations that are put in place will...
Tell me where the lie is. These laws are immortal. They have to have an expiration period. That's what he's talking about. Let me end with this. Why I'm hyped. Like when I look at these videos, it inspires me for my channel, for my work, my real job, my family, anything I do. When I talk about I want to reach for the stars, and I should have rocked. Why didn't I rock my Occupy Mars today? When I wear my Occupy Mars sweater, this is what I see. This is what I care about. Watch this video. There's no narration. It's just beautiful. Not just from the scenery, but all the hard work that goes into it to get to that point. It's unbelievable. It's not just Elon Musk. It's he is able to recruit the best of the best. He predicts that Starship will reach orbit this year. This is why I say we are the aliens right here. Doesn't that look like an alien spaceship? This is him and his team. SpaceX did this. NASA basically has been defunct. They haven't done much since we went to the moon. Fun fact, Elon Musk named his spaceship Dragon after the fictional Puff the Magic Dragon. Everything he does is just funny. So now you're seeing it in orbit. That's going to land and refuel. The belly flop that these things do, they literally flop on their belly and then straighten out right before they hit the ground. And then they get caught by these arms, these giant robot arms. Now you launch the next one out to connect with the ship, because you need a lot of, I don't know what the fuel is. I'm not an expert on that. Follow Everyday Astronaut on YouTube, Twitter. What an unbelievable dude. his energy, his positivity. He knows all about this stuff. But it's refueling. I don't know if it's the fuel is exactly, but you need a lot to get to Mars. The moon is not the goal anymore. Mars is the goal. The fun fact about Mars is, so when you trace, you're not traveling in a straight line. You're following gravity. So you're always circling, and you have to time it to find the shortest time possible to get to Mars. To get to Mars, I've heard anything from, I've heard like 3 to 6 months. Let me look it up real quick. Heard so many different takes on this. I'm seeing 3 to 9 months in space with radiation. See, when I look at this, my first thought is God is good. And I think space travel is an opportunity in a way to be closer to God. Like when explorers like Ponce de Leon, before they came over across from Europe to Florida, it was just like this. They didn't know what to expect. This is the landing on Mars. Mars is a very dangerous planet to inhabit. You would have to live underground in bubbles because they have dangerous dust storms and very cold. Let's go. Let's get it. That's the goal. Hey, the goal is really even beyond Mars. But just don't want to set this goal too ambitious.